It was recently announced that Spider-Man would be joining the roster of characters in Marvel's The Avengers, developed by Crystal Dynamics, in 2021 as a free downloadable character, exclusively to PlayStation users that is. This has once again reignited the conversation behind platform exclusives, and more specifically platform exclusive DLC, as well as highlighted some concerns that some may have regarding Sony's mentality going into the next generation. In addition to this, on the same day of the Spider-Man announcement, Sony dropped some information on the PlayStation blog pertaining to the backwards compatibility of PS4 accessories on the PS5, where it was revealed that although PS4 controllers would be able to connect to the unit in order to play PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 5 games would only be able to be played with the PlayStation 5 controller, a move which is going to require people to buy yet another round of controllers for the generation if they ever want to have the option to invite some friends over to play some games together, as Sony apparently believes that their new controller features are so essential to the experience of a game that a simple PS4 controller is unworthy for upcoming new software. Long are the days of this Sony.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
And instead, we are entering an era of a Sony that seems more concerned about how much money they can earn from a consumer rather than how much they can enhance the user experience on their platform. Let me make myself clear. I've never been sympathetic to the "they're only doing this to make money" argument. There is passion behind games for sure, but there is not one game company that is operating without the intention to generate a profit. Anyone who is selling you a game objectively wants your money. That is an indisputable fact, as games are difficult and costly to create, and there needs to be a tangible reward for developers at the end of the road. What we need to discuss instead is when things are pushed too far. Enter the exclusivity deal for Spider-Man and Marvel's The Avengers. When I first saw the announcement, I originally thought that it made a lot of sense. Marvel's Spider-Man is a PlayStation 4 exclusive that performed exceptionally well, both critically and commercially. When I read the original tweet, I thought that this was going to introduce Insomniac's Spider-Man character into the Avengers, which would replicate an MCU-type experience for console users and set the stage for a connected universe within video games. This would have made the exclusivity make sense, as that version of Spider-Man is technically owned by Sony, and thus keeping him locked to his exclusive platform. But when you read the actual information that was included in the blog post, this seems to be yet another new rendition of Spider-Man, with seemingly no connection to the PlayStation exclusive game. This raises the question, well then why? Sony and Square Enix obviously had a deal where Sony would pay for Spider-Man to appear as an exclusive character on their platform, thus pushing gamers to select the PlayStation version of the game, as Spider-Man is the most popular comic book character worldwide, and would in turn get Sony a bigger cut of the profits, as opposed to if game sales of the title were more evenly spread out amongst platforms. But with money as the obvious motive behind this decision, why exactly would Square Enix even allow a deal like this to happen when it seems counterintuitive to the success of the game as a whole? As we know, the Avengers is going to be a games as a service title. The whole point for these types of games is to generate a solid base of players who will then stick with the game for years to come and continue to support the game financially through things such as microtransactions and season passes. And Spider-Man is going to be a huge deal to the game when he gets added, so why is Square locking that excitement to just one platform? We already know that Spider-Man can appear on non-PlayStation platforms. He was in both Ultimate Alliance 3, which was an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, as well as appeared throughout the Marvel vs. Capcom series, which has always been multi-platform. So it's not like he as a character is exclusive to Sony, on the game side of things that is. Instead, I think that this deal is a reaction from Square Enix to the initial reception of the Avengers, and is something that has been in the works for the past year or so. When the Avengers was first revealed at E3 last year, the reception was lukewarm to say the least. Excitement had dropped tremendously for the title, and it was worsened by the fact that this was going to be a games-as-service title rather than a comprehensive story with a definitive beginning and end. The game has been fighting an uphill battle since the first gameplay reveal, and has continued to appear dead on arrival aside from the typical eyebrow-raiser announcement. I believe that the underwhelming reaction opened up the door for the deal between Sony and Square Enix, and with the success that Sony saw from Spider-Man, Square Enix was probably hoping that some of that success could be pumped into their own title, and at the very least, with a large cash payment from Sony, some of the financial burden in developing the game would have been offset in the event of soft sales for the game's launch. What puzzles me, however, is that this move could have been a death strike to the game before it even hit store shelves. Games as a service titles have a tendency to miss the landing on release, and most have required some sort of second life to bring them back into the public's mind. Furthermore, we're in an age of crossplay and cross-progression, and I'm confident that this deal is the reason that the Avengers is not going to have crossplay, something that might have been common even 3 years years ago, but is such a tone-deaf move and extremely archaic for where games are right now, which might be another reason as to why Sony wanted to explore this deal with Square Enix in the first place. As we know, Sony never wanted crossplay and cross-progression to be commonplace in gaming. They were the last to adopt it and are still cited as a problem child for the overall cause. By creating an exclusive character, Sony could have been savvy to the fact that in doing so, they would effectively prevent the Avengers from being crossplay, which would then lock all game-related purchases to the system that the game was originally purchased on without the fear of users dipping their toes elsewhere and potentially taking dollars away from the platform. We also know now that Spider-Man is not just the only exclusive content coming to the Avengers on PlayStation. PlayStation users will have access to PlayStation Community Challenges, which will unlock platform-specific rewards, as well as timed exclusive legendary cosmetic items and free cosmetic bundles related to downloadable superheroes exclusive to PlayStation Plus subscribers, furthering the divide between platforms and ensuring the difficulty for cross-platform and cross-progression integration at a later date. Sony and Square Enix have effectively established PlayStation as the place to play the Avengers, and gamers who want the definitive experience have no choice but to pick up PlayStation as their primary platform. I have no problem with exclusives as a whole. Sony has continued to create some of the best games the industry has seen, which I think is due to the fact that they are exclusives. These are the games that Sony has put on display to make the case as to why you should invest in their hardware, and although they are expensive and not as profitable as titles like Call of Duty or Fortnite, they do draw users over to the hardware. Nintendo does the same thing. The best experiences you can have on your Switch right now are experiences you can only have on your Switch, and that isn't by accident. A games industry without exclusive titles would be bleak, and we would miss out on so many wonderful experiences. However, locking a character as important as Spider-Man to a platform when the game is going to be available everywhere in an attempt to keep consumers tied to only PlayStation is disappointing, and I think it is a move that is going to detract from the overall experience of the game for so many people, which to me is quite anti-consumer. Thanks for watching.